Now, on your Tuesday morning drive, after an unforgettable 2016-17 season that produced moments like this.
Jordan Spieth, the Open champion.
Right at it. Right at it! Oh, Jordan He's Spieth. Done it again!
Jordan Spieth debuts down under at a place that's been a springboard for the three-time major champion. What could a third title mean for his 2017-18 season? Fleetwood, Rose, Garcia, all back in action this week in China as the European Tour begins anew. So which of these stars is primed to have the biggest year yet of their storied careers? And whose mental game will carry them to an epic season? And after an unforgettable year, get the inside scoop on how Justin Thomas's father trained him to come up clutch on golf's biggest stage.
And Thomas with the finishing touches.
It's all ahead on Morning Drive this Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. Welcome inside Studio AP. Stay a while. Damon Hack alongside Cara Banks and the big timer Charlie Reimer, Lauren Thompson, and the insider Tim Roseford in just a little bit. Welcome back from Concession. How was your Monday?
Thank you. You know, I'd never been down to the Concession Golf Club before, even though it's right here in Florida. It was a wonderful trip for the Sandra Gull Charity Challenge. She had a host of LPGA players there on what is the first day of their off season, and they supported her well to raise money for the Volunteers of America of Florida. It was a wonderful cause. And I have to say, Charlie, that golf course looked spectacular. I didn't get to go out and play it, but I hear that it's a pretty tough test and actually one of the tracks that attracts a lot of members, a lot of professionals to come and play and practice out.
Yeah, it certainly is very challenging golf course. I was over there for NCAAs a couple years ago, and the greens are firm and fast. It's long. If I were a tour player and I lived within an hour or two of that golf course, I definitely would look into membership there.
What about a 20 handicapper?
You probably ought to look somewhere else.
All right, we like to get social here on Morning Drive. I would say good morning to Lauren Thompson. How are you, LT?
You and me, Damon, we'd probably have a hard time getting around that place and getting a low number there, too. Moving on, though, to this tweet by Craig McQuillan. And Jordan Spieth returning to the Australian Open this week to defend his title, but with a caddy switch-up, if you look close on this picture. Now, looping for the multi-major champion this week, his longtime swing instructor, Cameron McCormick. Now, this move is temporary. In a few minutes, we're going to let you in on the reason why Michael Greller won't be on the bag, but this duo could prove to be a force this week at the Australian Golf Club. So right now, let's get you back to Damon Hack with more.
All right, LT, you said it happening now. This young man, Jordan Spieth, defending his title at the Australian Open. Our coverage begins tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The world number 2 won this event twice, 2014 and 2016, using it as fuel for the coming year, Charlie. And last year, he trailed by 2 going into the final round. This is a highlight from the first hole from the greenside bunker.
Yeah, notice this time of year when you play golf in Australia, the wind is going to blow. When you're playing a long bunker shot into the wind, especially when you got a steep lip like that in front of you, you're going to pay a price by catching a little sand in the face.
He would go on and make birdie now at 12, sand wedge into the par 4.
Yeah, and also this time of the year, the greens are very firm. Look at how fiery that was there. Coming downwind, that was outstanding distance control.
A birdie would follow, tie him for the lead now at 16. A long birdie putt over a ridge.
Yep, had to deal with a lot of slope there, and Jordan Spieth doing what Jordan Spieth does.
And you can see what it means to him. Little fist pump there. Now Spieth at 18. This is for par to get into a playoff.
And was there any doubt this one was going?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, dead center, perfect speed.
Cool, calm, and collected. He would join Cameron Smith and Ashley Hall for that playoff. This is the second shot into the par 4, 18th, and it's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, and Jordan did a great job. This is a tough driving hole. He did a great job of putting a tee ball in perfect position where he could attack that back right hole location. And not only did he get it up on that top tier, Damon, he got it underneath the hole, which is really important as fast as these greens are, and boom, thank you very much. I mean, that ball would have rolled into a thimble. Are you kidding me? That's a way to win a golf tournament.
And gets the clutch, the Stonehaven Cup for the second time in 3 years. And here's how Spieth characterized the significance of the win.
The way we played the playoff, I think, is going to do wonders for me. I'd been in a little bit of a stall, hitting the shots when they mattered. Colonial, I saved myself with a lot of putts in our last worldwide win. To hit those 2 shots in there right where I wanted to hit them, and then to make the putt with it. is really big going forward, and it's something I can draw on all next year, is look back on the way this one was finished out.
And as you can see, Jordan has really parlayed wins down under into magic the following year. He shot 63 in a gale at the end of 2014 at the Australian Open, followed up with a season for the ages, 2 major championships, and of course last season another major following a win at the Australian Open, Charlie. And you would think, well, these aren't major championships that he's winning at the Australian Open. Why is he able to turn those victories there into such monstrous years to follow?
Well, they're not major championships, but I'll tell you this, they're big, important golf tournaments, and Jordan Spieth understands that. I mean, he's able to look at the list of past champions from the Australian Open, and you see Jack Nicklaus on there, you see Gary Player on there, you see a lot of wonderful players, and that's one of the things I think Jordan has done a very good job of, is embracing who he is in the world of golf, and it's really important, to get outside of your home tour and go play other events. I mean, listen, you don't have to play every big event every year, but over the course of a career, it's just something that's important to do. It's about giving back to the game. It's also helping build your name and your brand worldwide. And the other thing I'll say is I played golf in Australia one time. I played in what was in the Holden Challenge, which was one of their majors down there at Australian. And it's a tough flight down there, there's no doubt about that, but it's very much worth it. It is a wonderful place to go visit. The Aussies love their golf. Obviously, Greg Norman has them on fire and has had them on fire for a long time. And you go down there, and there's something about getting on an airplane, flying literally around the world, getting the clubs off the plane, going out and whipping people's butt. There's something about that. It says, my game travels. And nothing but upside for Jordan to go down in that part of the world and play good golf.
Especially 2014, 8 under par, 63 in a gale. Rory McIlroy said he could have played 100 rounds on that golf course and not sniffed 63. Jordan Spieth did more than sniff it. He absolutely shot it. Let's send it back to LT.
Thank you so much, Damon. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Jordan Spieth this go-round will have Cameron McCormick as his caddy for the Australian Open. McCormick, Spieth's swing coach since he was 12 years old, was also the 2015 PGA Teacher of the Year. So you might be wondering, where is Michael Greller? Well, Spieth's usual man on the bag welcomed his first child with his wife Ellie back on October 13th, Barrett John. Now, Greller has missed rounds with Spieth before, but this will be the first time as a pro that he's used a different caddy for an entire event. And I think people can understand why. We love seeing those smiles as we now turn it on over to Cara Banks and Tim Rosafort with more. Good morning, you two.
Yeah, good morning again. Always good fun to have our insider in studio. Good morning, Rosie.
Morning.
You've spoken to Cameron about the fact that he is caddying for Jordan down under this week. What is he hoping to get out of the experience?
Well, the experience of being inside the ropes and looking at Jordan's game that close, and a little different perspective than being outside the ropes, and stuff that he told me yesterday morning that he could actually plug into the beginning of the year when he goes to Hawaii, and then throughout the first maybe quarter of the year. But a lot of pressure on him, sort of say that facetiously, obviously replacing Greller this week. I asked him if Michael coached them on anything. He said, yeah, he gave me his yardage books from 2015, noted that they had a good record there, and said, just don't mess it up. But there's not much to mess up, obviously, with Jordan. The one debate is, what kind of bag do you carry if you're not a caddy? Do you take the light bag or you carry the big bag? He figures if he takes the light bag, he's going to get teased so much, so he takes the big bag. 70 pounds, it's just dependent if he has those big caddy calves enough to handle that. He just hopes that he's caddying, walking for 7 miles, he doesn't fall over with that thing, because the teasing would never end. And then finally, the final little nugget to it, Jay Danzy, his manager, had actually stepped in for Greller before and got a second place finish in Singapore and a third in Japan. So within the camp, they got this own little competition working.
I bet they do. Yet no way he could take the small bag.
Absolutely
out with
not.
Him then. Good luck to him, I have to say, because those bags, you're right, they're heavy. Now, Cameron works with a wealth of talent, including a junior who just won back-to-back Player of the Year titles at the AJGA Awards. What can you tell us about Noah Goodwin?
Well, he is the 5th player in AJGA history to repeat as Player of the Year, and 2 of those were Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. So the company that he jumps in there with is obviously, as he said, big footsteps to follow. But another reason for him at this point in time, transitioning from AJGA to his college days, he just committed to SMU. And the big reason for that is that McCormick's based up in the SMU area, works out of Trinity Forest. All the guys are just raving about what an unbelievable place that is. And within the context of that, talked to Noah about SMU, and he said, look, I looked at a lot of schools. It came down to which way would get me to the PGA Tour the fastest, because ultimately that's the goal, and that is his goal. He's going to be playing college golf, obviously, but high-level amateur events. Won't be able to defend his U.S. Juniors title, but within the scope of that, and trying to Monday qualify for tour events, he's going to be very busy as a college freshman.
It is fascinating how much we can get to know about standouts at such a young age nowadays, and he's a small guy, isn't he, but still hits it a mile.
He went through a human growth hormone deficiency early. That's under control. He's not a big guy, but he can fly at 285 to 290, rolls out to 310. He's got plenty of length to compete against Spieth and some of his other contemporaries.
My goodness. All right. Well, we always enjoy taking a dive into your notebook, Rosie. Thank you. We're going to have just a little bit more in a moment as regards to the PGA Tour. But first of all, let's turn our attention to what is happening now on the European side of things. And just 1 week after Tommy Fleetwood won the 2017 season-long race on the European Tour, the 2018 race to Dubai begins at the UBS Hong Kong Open. Now, it is the first of 4 events in the new season to be played in the calendar year of 2017, and the field is headlined by Fleetwood, Justin Rose and Sergio Garcia, who have all had a year to be proud of. Tommy Fleetwood was crowned the European #1 after a season that included 2 wins and 8 other top 10s. Now, he just beat Justin Rose to the title after the major champion gave up 3 strokes within 5 holes on the back 9 in Dubai on Sunday. And John Rahm's victory at that DP World Tour Championship was enough to see him overtake Sergio Garcia at 3rd in the final standings. Damon?
Well, Cara, interesting that the 3 guys that had a chance to win the race to Dubai last week are in the field in Hong Kong: Rose, Fleetwood, and Garcia. State your case for one of these men to have a terrific year coming up, because all 3, as Cara said, had fantastic 2017 seasons.
Yeah, I look for Sergio Garcia to really get after it between now and next year's Ryder Cup.
The victory lap is over?
Absolutely. Victory tour I went with. But I mean, think about it. I mean, listen, I was on 18 green when Sergio won the Masters. And just to see the emotional release, I mean, think about that career, so much potential, so much build-up, so many close calls, a few bad breaks, a lot of it self-inflicted, to finally break through and win that first major championship and have it be Augusta. That's a big deal, and as big as they get in our game. And there has to be an emotional sort of letdown. And then you throw in the fact that a marriage, you know, several months later, they got a baby on the way, he and Angela do. So there's a lot going on in life. So I thought Sergio might be a little distracted by maybe celebrating a little bit, rightfully so. but I know that with the Ryder Cup being next year, that with what's going on in his game, which is as good as it's ever been, maybe better than it's ever been, that he will get that focus back. We saw he won at Andalusia. I think he's going to have a huge year, and I think he's going to have a big Ryder Cup.
Does that mean another major? You can make an argument that the Masters would be the major that would have been toughest for him to win, considering his problems historically on the greens. He's been in contention in every other major championship.
You know, I mean, it's hard to say a guy's going to win a major, but I can tell you this, it wouldn't surprise me if Sergio wins a major next season, in particular if it's, let's say, an Open Championship.
You heard from the big timer. We send it back to Cara.
He had 3 wins on the European Tour this season, guys. It was a career best for Sergio. But meanwhile, last week on the PGA Tour, rookie Austin Cook earned his first career PGA Tour win in just his 14th start. At 21 under par total, the 26-year-old was only 1 shot off of the tournament record as he became the 4th straight first-time winner of the RSM Classic, an amazing record there at Sea Island. So for a little bit more on the man from Little Rock, Arkansas, we take another dive into Rosie's notebook, and welcome back in our insider, Tim Rosaford. Rosie, I understand that Austin Cook has a pretty strong academic background, but was he always going to choose golf?
Well, that's debatable. I was talking to Brad McMakin over the weekend, a coach at Arkansas, and after Austin won, he sent me a text saying not bad for a med student. And when he was at Arkansas, there were, you know, a lot of guys obviously get into their sport and sort of major in that and minor in their major. It was kind of the other way around for Austin. He was a guy who was a 3.87 biology student when he was at Arkansas, a little bit more impressive than his stroke average, which was around 72. But he played, you know, he was number 2 behind Lingmerth, and we know David Lingmerth is obviously a solid tour player. And, you know, he was always wanting to play out on tour first, even though McMakin wondered about that at some point in time. And he really worked his way out there by force spotting. In 2015, he qualified for 4 out of 5 events on tour, made about $600,000 when he was in the mix with a bunch of top 20s, and then had that confidence rolling into the web.com, and then ultimately we see him here pop up on a screen. Last event of 2017, and he pulls off a W to open up his life, change it. And talking to him yesterday, his dad was a doctor, his uncle was a doctor. He was thinking about being a pediatrician, but really the first priority was trying to make it on tour.
Wow, what a choice that was.
Yeah, it was.
2 pretty hefty careers to choose, and he will actually be joining us live on the show today, so don't miss Austin Cook, who had a veteran caddy in Kip Henley on his bag, so we'll hear all about what impact that had on his win at Sea Island. But the runner-up last week was JJ Spawn. Now, is he someone who always had golf in his blood from an early age?
Well, it was, but it wasn't blue blood. This is a Muni player from the Southern Cal area. He told me that actually they moved to the East Pasadena place, East Pasadena, where Arroyo Seco was a kind of a Muni par 3 executive golf course. His mom was actually pregnant for 8 months, carrying him around that golf course, and doctors would told her, look, yeah, it's not going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, that kid may end up being a golfer someday. And sure enough, he is. He's the type of kid, though, as he said, I had a blue chip on my, a chip on my shoulder for most of my career because of that municipal golf background, and also had to walk on at San Diego State, was always playing for a scholarship, ultimately gets out on tour, and he's stuck now. He's had obviously a very successful season, and hoping to turn it into more as he goes down the line.
Yeah, won on the web.com tour last season, didn't he? And a great performance for him this past weekend at Sea Island. Now, circling back to the AJGA Awards that we spoke about just a moment ago, we are just a week away from Tiger Woods' return at the Hero World Challenge, but apparently there is a junior with strong ties to the 14-time major champion, and it's a young girl, Rosie.
Amari Avery, yeah, they're calling her the Tigress already, and there are a lot of coincidental situations here. You think about it, she was born on December 30th, Tiger's birthday. She's from Orange County. Her father's an African American. Her mother's got Asian heritage. She had her first hole in one at Hartwell Park, where Tiger had his first hole in one. And like Tiger, she's had a meteoric rise. She's only 13 years old. She was 438th in the rankings in June. She's now 10th. She's had 3 W's and is coming off a 3rd place finish to Lucy Lee. So you can see this golf swing with that width. This is the type of swing Tiger would probably love to have right now, but you can't turn back the clock. You got to go with what you got. Everybody's talking about the way Tiger's hitting the golf ball. You got to watch out for Amari Avery and the way she hits the golf ball too.
The Tigress.
The Tigress.
I like that. Wow, those are uncanny, those similarities as well, by the way.
A lot of crazy similarities there, and also she can play. It's not just the similarities.
You have done your homework. I'm impressed, and we're just getting started. You're going to stick around?
I'm going to be here all day.
Perfect. We'll be checking in with the Insider again later in the show, but let's go back to Lauren Thompson to find out what we do have coming up the next 2 hours.
The Tigress, that is definitely one of my favorite nicknames in golf already. But coming up today, let's get back to Jordan Spieth and the Australian Open in mind, as our equipment expert takes you to a place only the tour pros go at events when their gear needs a tune-up. Matt Adams is going to sneak you inside the Titleist truck and show you what goes on inside. Then we're going to welcome in the latest first-time winner on the PGA Tour, Austin Cook, who served up a sensational victory in just his 14th start on the circuit last week in Sea Island. So how confident was he cooking up the win? And why are people saying his greatest strength on the course is in between the ears? Hear from him yourself live. But now back to one of our front runners in Dubai, Justin Rose, his gold medalist game, and the changes he's been making in his swing. Famed golf instructor Sean Foley joins Charlie Reimer to break down the major champion's new moves and where his game is headed in 2018. So get ready for a great show. Glad to have you with us. Time for a coffee break, though. Stay tuned. Sean Foley's next as Morning Drive returns right after this. Get that coffee.